In the talk, I'm responding to GOC priest Father Stephen Allen is talking about mainstream orthodoxy, and he says, quote, "These men are Freemasons," end quote, but he did not give any examples. No names were given and no documentation was produced. So I challenged Father Stephen to give me the name of one bishop who is a Freemason and the documentation proving it. Just because you make a claim does not mean it is true. Father Stephen also pointed out how people today do not think logically, are not trained in classical languages, and how there is a lack of love for truth today. But my question is, where was his love for the GOC, and why was he not doing more to stop the disobedience of Metropolitan Pavlos and GOC clergy who violated the GOC's 2002 encyclical by giving communion to new calendarists? And if he loved the GOC, a church he perceived to be orthodox, why did he himself give communion to new calendarists in violation of the GOC's 2002 encyclical? Bishop John of Colorado Springs' sister-in-law once witnessed Father Stephen giving communion to new calendarists. This is disobedience and a lack of love for a rule of his own church. Also, Father Stephen went along with the recent union with the Synod Resistance. By doing so, he has betrayed the official and historic position of the GOC and its people, who maintained over the years that Metropolitan Caperana Phi Lee, the founder of this group, was deposed and heretical. So, by going into communion with the Synod Resistance, Father Stephen showed he did not love the GOC, a church he perceived to be orthodox. Also, Father Stephen turned me away when I sought penance. Several months ago, when I was in the Old Calendarist movement, I contacted Father Stephen on my own accord asking for penance for sins I committed many years ago. I humiliated myself by telling him the sins. He said he would get back to me. As a gesture of goodwill, I removed my videos exposing the disobedience in the GOC. I did this at a time when I was hopeful that they were going to repent of their 2002 encyclical violations. A few days went by and I did not hear from Father Stephen. I then contacted him and he decided not to give me penance. His having pushed a person away who was seeking penance is deplorable and contrary to church teaching. He told me he did not think I was repentant, which was untrue. I was repentant, and since he was not a clairvoyant elder and could not read my soul and thoughts, he should have distrusted his own thoughts on this and dealt with me in a practical and realistic way. I was repentant, and Father Stephen should not have trusted his thought. Several months ago, Father Stephen wrote me and said that he had offered me penance, but that I had said I needed more time. Either he was lying or his memory was bad. I wrote him back and said that that was not true, and I invited him to supply me with a copy of the alleged email where I said I needed more time. He did not, and he cannot, because no such email exists. I did not hear back from Father Stephen. Lastly, Father Stephen turned his back on an innocent GOC Christian, myself, after I explained to him what the GOC Bishop Sergius Black did to me. I appealed to Father Stephen and explained to him that I was pointing to Bishop Sergius' church by the GOC priest Father Maximus, and that Bishop Sergius let me go to his church once, but would not let me return. I explained to Father Stephen that I was not excommunicated by the GOC and that Bishop Sergius did not have the right to do that. There was not the slightest degree of compassion from Father Stephen, nor any love for justice and the rules of the Orthodox Church in this man. I want to make a clarification here. I said that Father Stephen had told me that he did not believe I was repentant. I want to explain here why he may have thought I was not repentant. I once challenged him in a statement he made online in a talk. He said that he does not tell people he loves them. And that statement was even questioned by someone in the audience at that particular talk. So I felt sorry for Father Stephen's wife and family. I asked him about this, and he told me that he does tell them he loves them sometimes, but not all the time. So I had a problem with that, but that's okay, people. This was a personal issue and not an ecclesiastical issue. It was personal, not ecclesiastical. So you have the right to ask questions like that. If the priest is so arrogant that he equates you asking him a personal question with you challenging orthodoxy, and it means you're not repentant, then he's just full of himself. He's just full of himself. You have the right to ask these kind of questions. And one thing I've noticed with Old Calendarist clergy is they do not like questions. They don't like to be challenged. Their egos can't handle it. So I was asking a personal question, not an ecclesiastical question. And I don't have any proof that that was why he said I wasn't repentant. I'm just giving a possibility here. Or he may have thought I wasn't repentant because I questioned him on another thing he told me once. I asked him how I should dress. I was thinking of wearing pre-revolutionary Russian Orthodox clothing, and I think he thought that that might make me stand out too much, and I don't want to draw that attention to myself, and I agree with him on that. And he recommended some kind of hat. Well, I told him I thought a hat was vain. So maybe because I said that, his ego couldn't handle it and he thought I wasn't repentant. But again, that's another example of a personal issue, not an ecclesiastical one. A person has the right to ask questions of a personal nature. We even have the right to ask ecclesiastical questions. But these clergy don't like questions, and they're so full of themselves, and they just don't tolerate it. And they equate themselves with orthodoxy. If you ask them a personal question, then it registers in their mind that you're questioning orthodoxy, and that means you're not repentant. That's ridiculous. It's arrogant. It's just totally arrogant. Now, I don't have any proof that this is why Father Stephen thought I wasn't repentant, because I asked one or both of those questions. I don't have any proof. I'm just saying that it's a possibility he thought I wasn't repentant because I asked those questions. So that's a possible explanation, people. And I'll end it here, and I thank you for listening.